All right. All right. All right. We're starting late. I didn't know if I was going to actually do this today because I've been on so many people's panels. I'm probably have to, cut back on panels because it's kind of taxing on the old brain. Okay. Especially in the language portion. I'm probably using way too many words. They say a man only uses like 3,000 words, and I've probably been using double that. So I'm running out of words. But people wanted a show today, and I'm gonna let a few people get come on in because I know I'm starting late at an odd time. So let me welcome a few people before I get started. And as I always say, okay, as we always start off, got to remember this.
I'm done. I'm done with life, and it's all Jermaine's fault. It's always Jermaine's fault. I'm done.
It's always Jermaine's fault, right? So if you if there's any questions about second question after number one, tell them refer back to number one. It's always Jermaine's fault. That's it will end any argument, right? Anyhow, welcome D. It was a good question. I've been wanting to do this one for a while. So it probably will have to take more than one because I probably have to gather more thoughts. Gabar, what's going on? JT, what's up? I'm listening. What's up? Indigo Flow, what's up? J Powell, what's going on? Brahmas, what's going on? Kingpin, what's going on? Knight, what's up? Instant Media, he's on Transporter 5, what's going on? Mr. S, what's going on? The toxic masculinist. Masculinist. Black masculinist. Okay. Got to put the black in there. What's going on, MS Delta? My faithful patron. Leon, what's going on? Oh, he's busy as hell. This is probably going to be worth a replay. I probably would have to do a standalone about this to put more into it. Big Biz, what's going on? Mr. Donnie Mack. Jake Jr. Yeah, I saw that. The passport, bro. Does sound pretty good. Our Jizzle, what's going on? Paul, what's going on? I had to give Neil deGrasse Tyson the boot to catch you live. Oh, okay. Dave Chow, what's going on? There's my favorite lab rat, Don Calypso. Hey, Don, you're gonna have to send me some of those. You know, either put a few of those. What is it? The Black Manosphere 1.0 clips up on, say, like up on a Google Drive or something like that, and send me the link so I can download it. Because 1.0, man, they're running roughshod. Well, they're trying to run roughshod, but things without any evidence. So if you got any clips that I need to hear, something vital, whatever you think is like your top 10, put it on Google Drive, man, so I can download it. Or if you need to put it on thumb drive, man, I send you a cash app so you can mail it to me. Black Pill, what's up? Pragmatic, what's up? Dub Will, what's going on? Brother Truth Be Told, what's happening? Dave, what's up? Joe's, what's going on? JT, what's going on? Asada, what's going on? Jaquan, what's going on? Play Perry. Ignatz, what's going on, man? Throw that brick, bruh. Throw that brick. Throw that brick at the black cat. Jay Jackson. Jackson J. Tell Toya what's going on. Thanks for the apple. These lives are like showing up to the lecture hall. That's what they're meant to be, in a sense. Cool gamer. Trouble man, what's up? Anacetus, what's happening? Dar as always. Dr. Thunder in the house, man. Our esteemed elder. And Dr. Thunder, what's your favorite bass guitar? I gotta start learning my bass, man. It's been sitting collecting dust for like 5 years. Tango Alpha, what's going on? Oh, the apple for the teacher. Oh, ain't that nothing? The esteemed, our elder esteemed doctor, uh, emeritus in the building, Dr. T. Hassan Johnson, PhD, motherfucker. Okay, Mashawn, what's happening? Mad Zulu, what's happening? Afro, what's going on? Little Rocks, and what else we got? Black Lion. All right, let me go ahead and get started. Okay. Well, give me the blog talk, man. Whatever you got. Give me the blog talk, whatever you have. Anyhow, let's get started. All right. My first clip, uh, I was trying to figure out what clips were most vital because this is a very, very long, extensive piece, starting with the myth of white womanhood and going forward, right? So, I mean, it's something me and Kevin used to talk about all the time about the low level contempt and hatred, which I noticed back in the really you've always noticed it. I didn't put a name to it like the mid aughts. Uh, about when black women didn't want to smile or didn't want to uh, get rid of the RBF when they came across it. Like you see most women, like white women, Latino women, even Asian women, right? If you look at them, they'll nod and they'll smile just as a hello, right? And black women had the unless they were sexually attracted to you, right? They wouldn't smile, they wouldn't look you in the eye, and they would turn their head. And they wondered how come brothers would stop approaching them, right? The brothers wouldn't say anything, right? And I was trying to figure it out, and why there was such abstinence, because I remember when my fiance, right, when I first met her, she used to tell me like if they're in the club or they're in a bar or something like that, that the women wouldn't smile at you, okay, or they wouldn't even say hello. If they weren't interested, they just turn their head and they would treat that was their way of shutting you off. And we used to wonder about that. So where does it come from? Because no other group of women really do that. Okay, they would at least nod or say hello and try to be friendly, and then try to brush you off gently, right? Okay, and if you meet another man, like I never had that out of until recently, I never had that out of another man, right? I see a brother in the street, even a white man in the street, right? If we look at each other, we nod or we say hello, give a greeting, and we keep walking. It's no big deal, right? But black women were the only group that didn't do that. I used to wonder why. But slowly I started investigating, and then I noticed, I finally recognized, I didn't notice, but recognized that there was a low level of contempt and hatred of their boys, of their men. And I started looking back further and said, okay, is this just something recent because of feminism? No. I started reading and found out this was all had always been there. And I said, well, so where did this come from? Where did this develop? And the key was E. Franklin Frazier's book, The Negro Family in the United States, that actually identified where this stuff actually came from. And then once you have that, then other pieces will come. Then you kind of recognize other pieces. So um, I'm just gonna show a couple of some clips, some clips that I've gathered, some stuff that I've already used, um, and try to peel back the onion because I was talking to May, and May was asking, May was wondering where all this stuff comes from, right? And why women are pushed to the forefront, and why women have always, black women have always had more education, more resources, more access, okay, to everything over the black man, okay. And there was very cogent survival reasons for that. And the thing is, even though those survival reasons no longer exist, they still carry that cultural pattern even today. That's like I'm saying, you don't build, and you can't go fight the white man, on and on and on and on. That's how come we can't respect you or don't respect you. Okay, that idea and that cultural pattern still exists. Okay, even today, even to this very moment. That's why I showed you Concrete Rose and Sister George's clips um, from their Sunday show, right? Very relevant, very recent. Okay, the exact same thing, right? The feeling. It's not high level. Even Kevin talked about it. It's not high level. It's low level. It's so low level that sometimes they can't recognize it, and it's gotten so normalized that low level contempt and hatred is expressed as love. You know, to us, they think it's love, and we have come to accept it as love. Okay, the thing is that the younger millennials and the Z's, since they have been intermixed with other groups of women and compared their version of what they call love, um, to the black woman's version that they call love, and then said, "Wait a minute, these women really don't like us very much. Why are they so mean to us all the time? Why do they think they can control us and abuse us like that? Not only mentally, emotionally, but physically. When they can't control you, they will fight it out." I was talking to a younger cousin. I mean, my cousin's granddaughter. Let's put it that way. My cousin's granddaughter. She's 7, and she told me about the experiences between. I won't go into detail between her mother and her father, and the same stuff that my grandmother told me. Okay, how she went through with her husband. Okay, her husbands. Because you know that we get into that how short a lifespan the black men actually had, especially in the South. Husbands and the stuff that they went through, and it sounded eerily similar to the description that my young cousin was describing to me about her mother and her father. Eerily similar, eerily similar. I might touch it on it if I get into if I do a Patreon. I might give some more details. But thing is, I don't really like mixing family details that don't have permission to mix into the stream. But this stuff is still with us, and that sentiment is still with us. And it kind of depressed me because I thought that as a culture we had gotten past that, getting past all that kind of contempt, hatred, and violence. Out of our system. But the thing is, I find out it's still with us. It's still culturally with us, and it hasn't gone anywhere. In fact, I'm noticing that it hasn't even abated. So anyhow, let me get into this, okay? I finally catch the stream in the first 10 minutes. Okay, true. Anyhow, let me get into this before yeah, men generally give a head nod, right in, Miss Delta. Even, the funny thing is, and High Scholar, since this is it's your wheelhouse, if you think I'm wrong, to turn a black female supervisor into the IRS Jack. Well, oh, ooh, okay. I am not going to touch that one. Um, High Scholar, if you disagree, you're welcome to come up and no, I know you don't want to come up, but you're welcome to disagree with me. And I recognize our PhD, privilege. So anyhow, it's Klingon love. It's Klingon. It is Klingon love, but for a very specific reason. But let me get started. Let me go ahead and present and share this stuff in sequence because this will actually initiate it because this is coming from the late great Kevin, right? Kevin Samuels on my show, and this is 2017. I want to say Thanksgiving 2017. So let me share it. This is my little brother. I call him my little brother, the late great Kevin Samuels, man. Peace, rest in peace, brother. As always, man, you did a lot for me. I will always be grateful. Anyhow, let's get it. And he's actually describing James Earl Jones's piece that I put up, but we'll get into that right after this.
He came from that time period,
Mhm.
and I'm sitting there listening to a lot of these women, and then you had the biggest portion of the group was baby boomers and Gen X.
Right.
And I tied it all into, I was like, look at all my cousins across the table, all of you beautiful women with your children and your grandchildren, but you're all single.
Oh my God.
I was like, Mama,
Did she say that though?
damn
Yes,
sure
he did. You know, he said it.
What happened?
I did. I was like, Mama, I love you. But you know, if you said what you said, I was like, I can roll out the stats, statistics, such and so forth. But you know, in Black community, you'll say, prove it to me, and then I roll out the numbers, and then you'll say that don't exist because I don't like the numbers. My mom came in and basically tried to stop this entire conversation. I was like, and she was like, well, show me what you're talking about. I wrote out the video. Oh, I don't believe that. I was like, remember what I just said? Well, because James.
All right. And this was like I said, this was 2017. God, I can't believe it's been 6 years on my BGS for Women's channel. And he came in, came into the stream, right? He wanted to tell me about the meeting that he had during Thanksgiving with his mother, his aunts, and his cousins, and it centered around the James Earl Jones video, right? And describing the Black matriarchy and where the low level contempt and hatred actually comes from, right? And it's so low level that they don't believe it. But thing is, once they saw it and once they saw what was actually voiced out in the open, they couldn't disagree with it. And he said they had a 1 hour conversation during Thanksgiving dinner, right? Where all the other men were actually in there watching football. They were in there discussing this and the matriarchy and their lives. Like you said, they were all single. Like 4 generations of women, single. Never been married except his mother. His mother got married late. Had never been married. And the thing is, why? It's because of that low level contempt and that low level hatred. Like I said, I'll probably have to do a bigger compilation because, like I said, I didn't know whether I was actually going to do the show, so I'm just gathered a few clips that I have on hand. But I'm actually gonna walk you through it. Yeah. I actually played the whole thing. Yeah. I actually played the whole thing, the whole conversation. But I wanted to kind of keep this concise. But I think that was like a 20-minute. I think it was like a 20-minute video. But next I'm actually going to play. I think I'm going to play the James Earl Jones clip. Okay. I think I'll do that. Share screen. And this is in yeah. It's 2017. I do believe this is 2017. No, I got to list this. It's unlisted. I got to go back and change that. Go ahead and share. I miss the old guy. I might put up the old horse again. I miss him. I miss that intro. Anyhow, so I'm gonna show this, and I'll be back on the other side.
Jim, do Black men marry white women because of the nature of Black women? I know in some of our earlier conversations you mentioned that the Black women you've met have been uptight. What do you mean by that?
Well, I'll answer the one question. What do I mean by uptight? Going toward a more militant attitude about their own identity. And in many ways are way ahead of the Black man because I don't know why, but in many ways are replacing the Black man. There's a whole, there's an almost unfeminine aspect of the Black militant woman.
Do you find that some Black women you've known out of your personal experience blame the Black man for what happened to them in slavery even today?
Of course. If the Black man, regardless of the causes, failed to protect her left her in a position where she had to sell herself or bargain with her body and so on. Yes, she had there's resentment about that, but it's very complex now. You see, I think in another generation you'll get a whole crop uptight about their position in society. There are many, because I'm generalizing now, many are overreacting against Aunt Jemima, the Aunt Jemima image, the submissive Mother Earth type, unselfish, all giving, especially all giving to the white man, sexually and in the kitchen, every other way. And she's also overreacting against the problem of having to be the breadwinner, the matriarch of the house. The myth of the black matriarch is really a myth, because she is not. It wasn't her choice. Many black women, I'm sure, once they found this job had a certain social and political dignity to it, relished it and wielded the rolling pen, like any minority group mama would do. But no matter how much she might relish it, it wasn't her choice to begin with. She would always have preferred the black male to have run the house, to have saved her from white rapists, white slave owners.
Why did you marry Jim? But first, do you know what Jim means by the uptightness of black women?
Oh, yes.
You've been in the theater.
Well, I've felt it. I've sensed it with almost every black woman that we know, whether they accept me or not. Whether there's always a tolerance, but there's always hostility behind it. I can understand it intellectually. Thank God I didn't have to go through the process that made it occur. I happen to think it's a good thing that they're showing hostility. I think it's the only thing they can show at the moment. And I think out of the hostility, I think that's a healthy sign. I think out of that.
Now let's okay. Basically, what they're saying is, what they've been showing is there is a deep hostility, or that you still feel, right? It's still going on. You feel it in the street. You feel it when you roll up to the to the to the window. Say if you're going to the drive-through for fast food, they probably shouldn't do that too much. But the thing is, when they serve you, you can see it, right? They can serve one person that's not black or not a black male. They're fine. They're talkative. As soon as you roll up, guess what? They turn their head. They won't look you in the eye. It's always short. You can feel the hostility. But that has been passed down. Exactly what he's been saying, right? It has been passed down from the slave quarters through Jim Crow into the civil rights, and even today. It's whether it's the workplace, whether it's the school place, okay? Unless you're a child, okay? If you're a grown black man, basically you sense that hostility. Sometimes even if you're a little boy, okay, you sense hostility, okay? Or you sense that they think that you're less than if you're a little boy. Trust and believe, man. When I was my kids went to school in the valley, out in the valley, out in the suburbs, had white teachers. Okay, I got a different reaction, a different kind of how can I say reception from the white woman school teacher versus the black female school teacher inside the city. Okay, outside the city, my ex, she had a lot of hard times with the white women because the white woman wanted to say, "Where's his dad?" Okay, I want to speak to the father. And we have a long conversation. And a lot of times I would get stuff done by that white woman, believe it or not. Whereas in the black community, with black female school teachers, she didn't want to talk to me. She want to talk to the mama because the mama's in charge. In the black community, amongst black women, mama's in charge, right? It's hard. It's hard for me to get my son out of that stuff, right? Where the women are actually in charge, because my son will listen to the women first. And then when their shit falls apart, dad has to come and pick up the pieces. Still today, people say was asked by a brother, um, in your household, in my household, do women run it? Okay, now me personally, they can't run me. But the thing is, as far as my children, how I interact with them, it is a gynocracy. It still is. Okay, when my little cousin and her aunt visited me, right, or her granddaughter visited me. Okay, and we had a discussion. The I could see, they're still in the South. I could really see the initial point of view of the old gynocracy out in them. Okay, we were never in charge of our families. Never in charge of our families. Just like James Earl said, we couldn't protect her from the white man. We couldn't protect her from being raped or cajoled or whatever. Right? We had to accept that because we weren't in charge. Okay, we weren't in charge. Like Dr. Gigi said, the black woman was brought over not to be our wives, they were brought over to be their concubines and produce children for the slave master and for the white man. And the white man has always had in his head that the black woman's body was his. Okay, he had a right to a black woman's body, and a lot of black women, uh, even if they rebelled against it, it was still in the back of their mind that the white man has a right to her body. And how come the black man doesn't sacrifice his life to protect her? And that's where the hostility comes in. And sometimes that's why the divestors come in. If you can't beat them, join them, right? Because he's in charge. Doesn't have to be our fault. Not our fault, not our women. Uh, who's really run the black Meccas all the last 30 years? Black females. You got a couple of brothers from Atlanta in here. They'll tell you that that Atlanta is a gynocracy. Okay, Atlanta's a gynocracy. I got one more uh, that I want to play from. This is Maya Angelou from 1968, the same year as James Earl Jones. Okay, the same year, and she actually had a 9-part special. I put a couple of clips up on another channel, but I had to take them down. But I'm gonna play this because what she's saying is cogent, right? Will actually dovetail what James Earl Jones actually said. Okay, it's drag Atlanta. Ask Stacey Abrams who runs Atlanta. Okay, all right. Let's put me down here. And hey, D Ski, what's happening, man? They're not. It's a survival tactic. So the thing is, can we blame them for their actions and for their attitudes? Yes. But thing is, we have to understand where this stuff comes from. We have because they can't deconstruct it themselves because they don't know. All they're doing is repeating the pattern that they've learned. They don't even know where it comes from. And when we bring out where it comes from, they get pissed. They get pissed because they think that they're doing the right thing, right? They think that they're being helpful. They think what they're showing us is love. Okay, they don't realize exactly what it is. It's low level contempt and hatred. But the thing is, it gets expressed as love, right? And we sometimes believe that it's love. And that's our problem. Anyhow, let me go ahead and play this.
Nor can we assuage our men's pain and agony anymore by trying to bring home an extra ham bone from the kitchen we've just left. These are new times. We have to reassess that male-female relationship. It's very important. We are not, in fact, the men of the family. We are still, yes, in an economic
Let me see. Let me rewind it just a bit.
bind.
Rewind it just a bit because I want to get back to where it was. Okay, there we go. Let's go back a little bit. Just a little patience. Okay, we're building the plane as we fly it. Okay.
It is said that the black man has been castrated by whitey and by the black woman. I'll repeat a statistic that I gave you earlier in this program. The black Americans are upwards of 25 million today. 100 years ago, we were around 3 million. castrated men do not father children. Now, so we accept that as a lie. However, there is some truth in that lie. And the truth is, the African slaves who were brought here came from systems where the matrilineal descent, patrilineal control, was the custom. African women today choose or choose not to carry their husband's names. If they do, it's usually a Westernism. When the slave owners became aware that there was a maternal kind of control inherent in the slaves, he developed it. Of course, this is a part of an intent to break up a family, the family unit, the structure that is really the backbone of not only the nation, but all mankind. The post-slavery, the Reconstruction period, and that period after that, for some 50, 60 years, the black man was not allowed to even get a job. He worked as a sharecropper, or in the most menial, usually agricultural conditions. The black woman, however, became stronger. She sat down in that role that history had cast her in, and that slavery had caricatured her in. So she began to believe that, yes, it's true, I'm so strong. And he also began to believe it. They both bought this lie. Now, when we see ourselves today, our young men in the street, sometimes it's not this external pressure. It's simply that these young men will no longer be held in by mother saying, I told you to do it. That's the reason you should do it. Nor can we assuage our men's pain and agony anymore by trying to bring home an extra ham bone from the kitchen we've just left. These are new times. We have to reassess that male-female relationship. It's very important. We are not, in fact, the men of the family. We are still, yes, in an economic bind. That is true. Our men still do not have the freedom to win the bacon and bring it home. We do not have the open avenues. But we must prepare ourselves for the time when we do, while our men are opening the avenues. I'm talking particularly to the women now. I want you to see this next scene. It's unfortunate that this scene is repeated in thousands, maybe millions of Black American homes on Friday nights or on the pay night. See it.
Do you guys actually want to see the play, or is this enough? If not, we'll end it and continue, because that's what I actually wanted you guys to see. Okay, and this is the same year in 1968 that James Earl Jones said the exact same thing. So basically, when they say that it's not true, it is true. Oh, you guys want to see the play? Okay, continuing. It got maybe I think it's like 3 or 4 minutes. So
Read it, understand it, and weep. Weep, dry your eyes, and change. Hey, how you doing? How you? I see you ain't cooked, and the house is just as dirty as it was when I left this morning. It feels as a pig pen. I hope you don't think I am supposed to come home, work hard all day, and come home and cook and clean up too. You can't say anything to me? You can't even pass the time of day? I've been working hard all day. I'm not playing. When I leave here, baby, I go out there and I haul, baby. You can't even pass the time of day, huh? Sit up there reading the paper, play like you looking for a job. If you're looking for a job, you get a job, baby. Because jobs don't get you. You know, you go out and get a job for real, you know. Don't you feel good? Ain't nothing wrong with you, is there? Look here, I got paid today. I got some money for you. Well, ain't no point in acting like so sedity, baby. I mean, I'm the only one that's making any money. I'm the only one that's bringing any money in this house, you know. So don't act like you on your high horse with me. What you think I am, a machine? You think I'm a horse? You want me to be mama and papa too, is that it? That's it, huh? Well, you got another thought coming. I'm getting sick of it for my part. I just don't know how if I can take it any longer. You know, like it's a drag. Every time I come in, the food, there's no food cooked, the place is filthy. You can't even say anything. Now where you going now? Out in the street, huh? Can't you even pass the time of day with me? What? Baby, what you doing with your suitcase? Baby, where you going? Baby, you're not getting ready to leave me, are you? Baby, don't leave me. Baby, you're going to leave me here with all these kids and all these bills. Well, go on, I don't care. You ain't no good, no how. I always knew it. You wasn't no good. You ain't no good. You black man ain't no good. Leave me here. Just leave me. I don't care.
You can go to any investor's channel, any black woman's channel. It's the language is different, but guess what? The sentiment is still the same, is it not? Is it not? We hear that with women talk about the passport bros, right? Exact same thing, right? Why do you think you're so angry with the passport bros? That video tells you exactly what it is, right? And what they think is what they think is love. What they think is love, the low level of hatred and contempt. Um, they see it as love. That's what they see as love. And they really don't see them break down until you actually get ready to walk out the door. That's where it comes. That video that play comes from 1968. That's what 50, almost 50, 56 years ago. Didn't happen just happened yesterday. They're talking about stuff that's been happening since what? Since the slave plantation. It's not new. It's not new. But the thing is, it comes from. She explained it does come from somewhere. It comes from somewhere. Let's see if I find one more clip. It's a short. Let me see if I can find it. One more clip. Uh, and this one, this clip comes from 1970. You probably seen it before. I'm sure you have. I could play tons of these. See if I can replay this. Okay. And this is right after the civil rights, right? And they're talking about uh, uh, reprogramming women to allow men to assert themselves, right? And this is 1970. This is 53 years ago, right? And you still hear this stuff. I'm saying I know I acknowledge patterns, right? That don't go away. That don't go away.
Program men so that they don't let us take over what's supposed to be their responsibility. And men that I have had dealings with, they are perfectly willing to sit back and let us do anything we want to.
I don't think you have to reprogram men. I think you have to reprogram women.
No, you have to reprogram the man so that he will forcefully take what belongs to him, because women, as long as we can get, we're gonna get, and it's part of our being. We're going to do anything to you that you let us, whether we want to or not. How are you going to reprogram men so that
that tells you exactly what it is, right? They see what they do as love. They see what they do as love. And this comes from, as Maya Angelou said, it's from the slave master, right? I've documented this many, many times, right? about Frazier did it, Du Bois did it, uh, um, Moynihan did it, Clark did it. It's been done many, many, many times about the black matriarchy or the black gynocracy, where it's formed and what it is and how it functions. Okay. And the thing is, what they don't like is us telling, because like I said, most women will actually do this in secret. They'll talk amongst themselves, okay, about how they're going to actually control you, or what they're going to do to you, how they're going to manipulate you to get you to do something, right? Because they see you as lesser. I was telling May, they see you as lesser. You're not any, like she said, you're not any good. You're gonna leave me with all these kids. There was just a video uh, on TikTok, I do believe, right, where a woman with 6 kids and a husband, a baby daddy or husband, whatever, right, went on a girls' trip against his wishes, and then when she comes back, he's gone, and she's upset. Then she's crying because he left her with all the kids and all the bills and all this kind of stuff, and it's his fault. Okay, that she couldn't do what she wanted to. She couldn't put her penis on the table and control him. And when he bucked and he left, which was his right, she got upset. Same thing. The same scene was played out that Maya Angelou did some 55, 56 years ago. Right. Same skit reenacted over and over and over again. And sometimes the women don't take you leaving. How many times we see women in cars run over their boyfriends because they found a text, or they're getting ready to leave. He's shot. He's getting ready to leave. Or one guy who left his girlfriend found him, broke in the windows, and killed him. Very common. Look at the stripper chick with Zion Williamson. She wants to out him because she can't control him and giving her money. Very common. Brittany Renner thought she was going to control PJ Washington, right? Because she had a baby. And she wanted him to do what she wanted him to do. And so she gave up all the money that she had, stuff he was giving her, and she left because she wanted control. This is not uncommon. It's not uncommon at all. That is the reason why the white boy, the average white boy, can get more respect and more dignity from our women than we can, is because this kind of disrespect and contempt and low level hatred is built into the package, right? From the experience, because she's still mad that Massa, who we had no control over, had no way to actually stop him from doing it, you know, took her. Okay. Or she's working in the in the house, and Massa takes her into the bedroom and nobody says anything, including white Miss Ann. And she says it's our fault because we can't free her from that bind, free her from that experience, which we can't even free ourselves. It doesn't matter that 30-40% of black men never made it out the South, disappeared. Which is another reason why as I was telling May, the money went into the women, because I was just looking at it, right? When you're born, they give you an estimated average lifespan, right? So in 1910, the average lifespan of a black man was 35 years. Estimated average lifespan was 35 years. That means a lot of guys, a lot of black men didn't make it to 35. That was 35 years old. Okay. If you died in your 20s or 30s, she's left with babies. Okay. And everybody knows that. So she has to go either go get another man or get resources. That's the house was always, even the money, even on the I think it was the Omaha Conference, right? 1890. More black women own houses back then than black men. It's still that way today. That pattern has never changed, but nobody wants to acknowledge the pattern. And the first thing I was just reading it in a post, man, on Twitter. Okay, she said uh, the double amount of black women own houses versus black men. First thing she said, black men need to step it up. You're lacking. You're underperforming. In other words, that's where the contempt comes from. But they see that as love. They're not going to help you. They're not going to help the black boys. They're not going to help the black boys succeed. You got to keep up with us. Even though black women get all kinds of help from white men, white women, and the whole society, and black men do not, and they know that. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because this kind of feeling toward black men is built into the culture. It really is. Anyway, we are 45 minutes into the hour, and I'm sure you guys want to come up and say something. Um, those are all the clips that I have. Somebody said they wanted to see the original Kevin thing. If you want to see that, I can find it. If not, I'll allow you guys to come up. It's up to you because I did clip the whole piece of that his his talk about his family. But it's up to you if you guys want to see it. Let's see. I'll find it. It's up to you. Their sons are walking away, D. That's the problem. Is it one person at a time? We'll see. We'll see how it goes. Well, Ebony K. Williams. Oh yeah, Ebony K. Williams tried to tried to marry Miss Cartwright. How do you reprogram black female behavior? What's the ideal model behavior framework for femininity? Okay. Really, May, I'm gonna tell you. I'll be honest with you. The only way to change women is the environment, and the way feminists and intersectional feminists actually taking over the whole globe. You probably can't reprogram women, black women. You probably will have to change the way that we uh, um, are basically organized. Marriage and family is the way you organize people, and the rules have to be rewritten because black women are not going back to what they were 100 years ago, even 50 years ago. They're not. The environment will not allow it, and plus women are not going to allow it either. So you have to negotiate a new terms. Okay. So men and women will have to come to different terms. White men are already noticing that because their women are actually going off. So that's probably what's going to happen. But um, let's see if I can find James Earl Jones. I mean, not James, but Kevin. If I can remember where it was. I don't even remember where it was. Well, let me go ahead and post the link, and you guys can jump in. If I find it, I'll find it. And so I don't want to make this too long. But there's the link. If I find the there it is. Okay, there it is. Myth and White Womanhood. Okay, 2017. All right. Let me go ahead and play it as you guys come on up. Into media. Beaming in.
Yes, sir. Oh, just to back up your point, apparently Megan Thee Stallion just came out and said, I saw the video. She literally just told black men, "We don't need you. We want you, but we don't need you." I was like,
Oh
"Oh,
yeah,
okay.
yeah,
Thanks for telling me." Next,
they've been saying that for quite a while. So, well,
I'm like,
basically,
okay.
it's an old story, and I've done many a video on this, explaining this where it comes from, right? From Du Bois all the way to Clark and beyond, right? Um, Clark said it. Du Bois used to say it, about the matriarch, right? He did whole 5 or 6 chapters on the black matriarch in his book. Okay, Negro Family United States, right? And it's still with us. Diane Williams said the exact same thing about the Ghana protest, or the what she called the African Kinship Network, okay, which is a matriarchy inside the United States. But the United States is no longer a patriarchy anyway. It's actually a state-run gynocracy. If there's a white woman that said that I might do a standalone about that, because a white woman who's a Christian actually said that. She actually put it in one of her posts about it being a state-run gynocracy. But I did find the James Earl Jones piece. I don't know if you guys want to hear it or not. But the goddamn, who's playing the music?
Oh, I'm sorry. That's me. I'm in a pizza shop.
Okay, all right, meet yourself.
Uh,
I got you. I got you. Okay. Anyhow, I don't know if you guys want to hear it or not. It's up to you
Sure.
because it's about 24 minutes long. I don't. That's probably too long. Let's save this to the end if you guys want to see it. Okay, unless you
Okay.
guys, if you guys want to get your comments in.
But yeah, I used to wonder about that because girls I would grow up with, they just like they have low level. They like you said that low level contempt. Like, what did I do to you?
Mm-hmm.
We barely interact. I had a buddy of mine try to introduce me to his cousin, and she just flat out turned her nose up. I was like, I don't know you.
Yeah.
I was in the lift the other day, and I was driving home. This heifer's on the phone the whole time,
Mm-hmm.
and I can hear her brakes grinding. Translation: she needs a new brake pad.
Okay.
So I didn't say nothing to her, but
Mm-hmm.
when I got out the car, I said, "Ma'am, you need to get your brakes checked." And she said to me, "I know. I don't need you to tell me." I was like,
Simon, your camera's on, and you want your camera on. But go ahead.
I just
Maybe.
like, okay. I was like, okay, whatever. I gotta go. I got out of the car and left. I was like, that's your, I'm trying to help you out,
Well, yeah. Respect is a hard thing to gain with black women. It is what it is. Dub will go ahead.
Hey, how you doing? How's my sound? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Loud and clear.
I can hear
Okay.
you.
I just had a question. I was having a conversation with one of my closest friends the other day, and we were talking about different things, and women came up, black women, Western women in general, and we kind of came to not a conclusion, but a thought of if we're not the average black man is not used to dealing with a feminine woman, right?
True.
Agreed.
And from my experience and from experience of other friends of mine, when a woman is truly feminine, we look at it with suspicion. Like, what is she up to? What do you want?
Yeah.
So how do we as a collective kind of work around that suspicion if you do come across a genuinely feminine or a submissive or cooperative woman?
Because
I might have some on that.
Okay, go ahead.
You just judge her based on her actions. That's what it is. I mean, it's really that simple.
It's not that simple because I've seen a lot of guys that can't get used to it.
I would go with the Kevin Samuels model.
That sounds like a personal problem.
No, when a lot of personalities get lined up together like 100,000, it's still personal, or what?
I think so. I mean,
why?
Would you
So how
be
do you?
Are we talking about being suspicious of a woman in general being feminine, or are we talking about black women in general?
If you're not used to being around a feminine woman, and your relationship patterns are actually based on Klingon, okay? How do you get used to a feminine woman? Can you trust her?
She has to do what normal people do, which is
How
gain
do you?
trust.
What's normal for you?
What's normal is just looking at her actions.
No. If
She
you
might
raise,
hold up, BGS.
Yeah.
She might be able to get away with faking being feminine for like a little bit, but eventually she's going to out herself. So just let them. The number one rule is let them talk.
That's not what I'm saying. Okay.
Mm.
That's what I'm saying. If you're used to a certain mating pattern, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, which is where game comes in. She's a certain mating pattern, and you get a feminine woman, you're probably going to abuse her because she's too nice, she's too agreeable, she's too soft. Okay, I've heard that from many, many black guys.
So then those black men need to go and seriously do some introspection on why they had the particular mating pattern.
Exactly.
That's what. So,
but the vast majority of black men have that chip in their brain. Okay, they do.
Man.
Otherwise, 80% of black women would be undateable, right?
I don't know, man.
All right, think about it. Well, think of it. All right, man.
No, I really don't. I don't care. No,
Where do you? No,
I'm not trying to be
hold on a
disingenuous. I'm
second.
not trying to be funny.
Hold on a second. Where do you live?
I live in Virginia.
And what?
Oh, come on.
Okay, it's south, or you live near the DMV, or what?
I mean, I guess I would live closer to the DMV.
Okay, no. So you have a whole lot of feminine cooperative women where you're at.
I mean, yes, because I don't deal with the ones that aren't that way.
That's not the question I asked you, sir.
Yes, I answered your question.
No. Another. So the only one you deal with, the ones you deal with, the only ones that you meet in life. You know.
I mean, okay, you meet a lot of people in life. Doesn't mean you have to be bothered with them. I'm not trying to be. I'm not trying to be funny, but
you sound like the females. So in other words,
no, we're not. No, BGS.
Hey.
Oh, please don't do that.
No,
please don't do that.
If look, man, I'm trying
That's
to talk.
pejorative. Come on,
I'm trying to talk to you, okay?
But you can talk to me without one trying to talk down to me and two trying to get pejorative. Like,
let me shut up. Now you really do.
I like saying
I'm asking. Okay,
it's acting like a normal ass adult.
Okay.
Sir.
I'm gonna give you 2 minutes, man. Go ahead. After you interrupted, you interrupted homeboy, right? Interrupted homeboy. Idris, be quiet for a second, man.
Go ahead. Or mute up.
And what I'm asking you, because you actually butt in, but you weren't supposed to, okay? I'm asking you, so the only people that you actually have encountered that are black are submissive, cooperative women. I'm asking you that.
No, I mean,
no.
You meet all kinds.
You meet all kinds. So the percentage of submissive, cooperative, feminine women, what's the percentage that you run across in your daily life?
That's not something I can really.
Okay. Well, then you need to go out and do some research. Okay.
Okay. So
no.
I get you, BGS. So how do I do the research, BGS? You know.
It's called pay attention. Do you go to the store?
Yeah. And I don't pay attention to them people in there.
So pay attention. You don't pay attention.
Why do I need to pay attention to any of them people in the store?
Idris. Okay. Okay, man.
Why do I need to pay? Why do I need to pay attention to somebody that's not in my life?
I'm not going to keep this up. Okay.
No. I'm asking. Like, why do I need to pay attention to people that I'm not allowing in my life?
Because you're weighing in on something that you haven't paid attention to right now. Okay.
I'm not saying that there aren't
no.
cooperative women, but
Idris. What did I ask you? What did I ask you?
Okay.
Repeat what I asked you.
Okay, BJS, you got it.
No. Repeat what I asked you. No. Repeat what I asked you. Repeat it.
BJS, you asked a lot of things.
No. Repeat what I asked. I asked you.
How do you quantify something you never paid attention to? Right.
That's number one. What percentage of cooperative, submissive, feminine women do you run across that are black in your daily life?
BGS, I don't like coming up with percentages because again, that's not something that you can quantify. You have to, in order to do, the people that do formal research.
Okay.
No, BGS, people that do.
Okay. I'm not gonna argue about it. Okay, you don't know. Just say you don't know.
No, hold up. You can't quantify any of that, BGS,
bro.
We're not.
You're pulling numbers out your ass.
Oh, okay.
All right.
He was BS.
Yeah, I don't even think you gotta.
Now finish, Doug. Will.
Yeah, I was waiting for your answer. He jumped in and said he knew the answer, and
he didn't. So
I know. It's like, all right, bro.
He jumped in. He knew the answer.
Right.
And when I started questioning him, now he doesn't know the answer. He didn't do the research. I'm pulling numbers out my ass. I'm asking for a rough estimate. He hasn't paid attention. None of that is none of that. But you want to argue about it.
Give me that.
So he's saying.
Give me that Lucas vibe.
And you want to multiply that over everybody. In other words, if you don't have a submissive woman, that's a personal problem. We're not talking about the person. We're talking about the group, okay? About
the whole group. I know guys that are game guys have issues. Though. I don't know why everybody acting like that's not true.
Yeah,
I guess it's just hard to accept.
Yeah,
it's a very hard thing to accept.
Yeah.
That your women don't really like you.
Yeah, I see the dudes that are quote unquote select have the same issues. So why are we acting like that's not?
Oh man, I see it every day. I do lawn care. I see it every day.
Yeah. To kind of like, I'm about to drop off. To kind of some of my question, like where can we start, like to know how, if you do come across one, how even to operate where the system would be a foreign thing.
If that's what you're looking for cooperation and submissiveness, you'll find it and you'll recognize it and you'll accept it. The thing is, can you accept it if you get one?
Well, in my opinion,
the little quiet woman in the corner that doesn't say anything, is that what you want?
Yeah.
In
my opinion, most feminine women, even if you meet some of them that are black, they generally don't like to argue. They usually shut down or just
they're passive aggressive. Yeah.
The one that I've found, I tried to hook up with her, but she was married. I felt like shit. So I kind of stopped talking to her. But she was sweet. She had that really, really innocent sounding voice. She was real nice and caring. I hit on her every day, man. But she had a husband and started fucking with me after a while.
Yeah, but because you know why F with you? Because it's breaking up the fantasy. Because if she would have got with you, she wouldn't be that feminine woman that you think she is.
Yeah, that's the exact thing that hit me.
And
I was like,
to tell you the truth, she might not really be a feminine, because there are masculine women that sound feminine, but they're not. That's why I go by this. What's his name? Standard. What did I just say? Kevin. He's correct. You got to shit test them. They don't like to argue. If you see a girl bark up to you, she's masculine.
Put a couple of drinks in her and take her to a club and see what happens.
I was trying, man. I was pulling some tricks. There was a few times where I used to work at a home improvement store, and there was times where we had to go somewhere and she wanted to meet a ride with us, so we would go somewhere, and I'll always look at the happy hour and be like, hey, why don't you pull up in there? And at first she'd be like, yeah. Then 2 minutes later she'd be like, I gotta call my husband. And you like, as we were like pulling, you could see her trying to talk herself out of it, like, I can't do this. And then it made me feel like shit.
Most women do that. Even the masculine ones, if they got a boyfriend, they'll do that. Because most likely the boyfriend is not their physical type.
Yeah,
because
he was because when I would talk to her, I would notice that when your woman's at these workplaces, they talk about y'all, and if you're gone all the time, they tell us. And they'll be like, well, he works, he does trucking, and you get that face from her, like, yeah, he works.
The truckers
he works
on all the time.
No, they all white women do. All women cheat. So
it was a white woman.
Yeah, all women cheat. All women cheat. White women especially. All women cheat.
Well, the number one reason why I ain't gonna lie, I used to be in shit. I used to mess with girls that had boyfriends, but I've noticed a pattern. Most women cheat for a lack of attention. So you gotta give them attention.
They cheat for variety, just like we
do. True. But I'm just saying, I just noticed that's like the number one for some odd reason.
And like attention, they cheat for variety too.
Well, at least with the thing with white women, and like I say, I do lawn care, and I cut a lot of white households, and I get to meet a lot of white women. When they cheat on their husbands, they'll still.
Idris, you can come back in the panel if you kind of number one, wait your turn, and two, not be so abrasive. Okay. All right, you can do that because I asked you a question you couldn't answer. You got mad, but you can come back up if you don't be so abrasive. You guys jump in.
Hey, he can take my spot. I'm about to drop off. Thanks for having me up, BJ.
Okay.
All right. BJ, I just have a quick question to ask.
Go ahead.
Mm-hmm. Do you? Now, my ex-wife is Haitian. I've dated Haitian women, American women.
Is she from Haiti or is she born here?
She's from Haiti. She moved there at 16. That was my ex-wife.
Okay.
Now,
she hit you?
My last girlfriend, which ironically lasted the longest, she was what we consider ADOS or Foundational Black American, which I am as well.
Okay.
Right? Which ironically, we last longer. We didn't ever get married, but we last like at least 5 years.
Okay.
So what I've noticed before her, I'm living in Florida, so I dated a lot of Haitian women.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the time, they,
Okay.
from what I've seen, especially the ones from there, they
Mm-hmm.
still teach them femininity. Like, I'll give you an example real quick. The first time I met my ex-wife's parents,
Mm-hmm.
now her mother is disabled, like has a disabled hand. They live up to the husband so much. She was carrying a big old school TV by herself. The husband didn't even get up. He's just sitting there. And no one
Okay.
get up. I was the only one to help her. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, she even was mowing the lawn, which,
Okay.
coming from a foundational Black American perspective, I'm not used to seeing a woman do all this work and the husband just sit back.
Okay.
It'll fuck
You know
it'll
what I
fuck
mean?
you up when you see it.
Yes. So what I'm trying to say is, long story short, do you feel that most of what we're talking about is really to ADOS or FBA, which that you're talking
Well,
about?
what I'm talking about is specifically FBA and ADOS because everybody didn't have the same experience. Okay.
Right,
We did. They didn't have Jim Crow. We did.
right. And one last thing.
Mm-hmm.
This is just my opinion on it,
Mm-hmm.
and you can just correct me if I'm wrong. It seemed like the slave owners, they picked the slaves that came from matriarchal tribes. Is that correct?
They picked the slaves that were sold to them. Okay.
Mm.
They didn't pick slaves. They got slaves that were sold.
The reason why I came up with that opinion is because I'm looking at like Haiti, Caribbeans. It seemed like they don't have the same thing.
It's because the matriarchal bent that's in the United States was actually fashioned by the white slave master here.
So they boosted up higher.
Yeah, and in other words, in other words, to keep slaves in perpetual slavery, what is it? They call it. I forget what they call it, right? Whereas they actually passed a rule that the condition of the womb of the mother was the condition of the child. So the mother was a slave, the child was a slave.
Right,
So they put the black woman in charge of the slave quarters. Okay, in
right,
charge of the family. And the man was not a husband because the man could be sold or whatnot. So basically, the slave master was always in charge. In fact, in 1850, the feminists told black women that their place was next to the slave to the white man and the white woman, and the black man could not be trusted.
Is that why Black women generally like the thug archetype of a big man, a brutish man?
The,
Because that
the,
was
the thug archetype is the matriarchal bent because he's there for protection, which is the pit bull, okay, which is in the matriarch, and sex. There's two things that a man is there for, especially in the matriarchy, right? Is sex and protection. Those are two main things in the matriarch that's a man's role. And the thug is not really providing resources, but what does he provide? Sex and protection.
and that's why like black men are I mean sorry, black women are so big on height and stuff like that.
Height is genetics. Because
That's a lot of women.
it's
Well,
all
I
women.
notice women consider if you're tall that you can
And,
protect them.
and in other words, if you're a short woman, what do you want your kids to be?
Right, tall.
Tall. So in other words, where does height come from? Mostly
Genetics. Now I was just
genetics.
asking because I just noticed women just say when
And
you ask them.
We've got to remember the impact that the Thomas Jefferson era baby farms had in contextualizing every piece of that. I didn't want to jump out of turn, but
No, go ahead.
really
real quick.
touching on what I want to nail in on right here.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Firstly, to the chat and instructors on the panel.
Oos, brother.
I kind of talked about this on Roger's panel earlier.
Okay.
I'll try to paraphrase as much as I can to make this as concise as possible.
Okay.
Number one, remember the baby farms.
Yeah.
We understand that what we were subjected to was nothing different than artificial selection. And artificial selection is different than any other form of sexual selection or natural selection. It's because those individuals were being bred with a specific purpose to do labor on a plantation. Those characteristics were artificially selected for, to include and not be limited to things such as height, muscular potential, and capability. Most individuals in the adosocial complex, if you're a man, stand up, take a look at the arch that's in your lower back. That was a characteristic sought after on the actual trade platforms during the auctions. They'd have code words like having a strong back, end quote. These are all characteristics that were passed down strictly through the DNA, to include and not be limited to the epigenetic influence that followed from the plantation, which is interesting because there's a difference between your actual hard-coded DNA versus your actual epigenetic influence that happens as a result of that. And the best way I can articulate this point to give you an understanding is that if we look at a script for a play, that is your actual genetic code. That doesn't change unless there's a hard editing that occurs to that script. However, the actors would be your epigenetics. They're the ones that carry out and express what's in that script. If we didn't have this process, when you are in the process of becoming a multicellular organism after conception, we would never have any way to distinguish or articulate what is going to be a brain cell, a heart cell, part of the genitalia, etc. Epigenetics is the means by which DNA expresses itself, and it infers what it needs to do from its environment. And this is included and not limited to your behavior. And the primary influence of these things occurs in the womb, which means it's the mother's experience that is going to pass on and set the trajectory epigenetically on where you're headed to prepare you for the environment you're about to walk into. Now, I want people to consider what that impact would have been for all of this time being primed to enter into the artificially selected for environment of a plantation. And then all of the behavioral trauma that occurs during the womb, out of the womb, and how it gets passed on through the mother over and over and over again. There is one saving grace with regards to epigenetics that needs to be acknowledged and recognized. And it's that, one, it can be reversed, but it has to be addressed and aggressively maintained by not continually exposing it to the stimuli that triggered it in the first place. And two, these things can skip generations. I'm probably going to have another conversation about epigenetics. The last one we did, we was with Dr. Nicole Ali. And we broke that down, but people misunderstood what epigenetics means. I think they mean that this is some sort of pseudoscience that grifters are coming up with to hustle the health industry. No, this is an actual process. You wouldn't have liver cells if epigenetics didn't exist. This is not a fiction. The second point I want to make, when we get into how this plays out within the culture, and I have to hit pause again and really emphasize this. There's a difference between your individual anecdotal experience and what happens to a people in aggregate. Again, in aggregate. This should be understood that it is impossible for any phenomenon we're talking about to be 100%. Only 100% thing we all know is that everybody that's born is going to die eventually, and there's some measure of pain you'll feel. Those are the only things we know that's 100% guaranteed. Everything else has some probability or nuance. However, you can find averages in likelihoods, and that's the context under which we're describing, because that helps you to infer and inform context to make better decisions that are informed. With that said, when we talk about the way that plays out, when BGS was speaking earlier about how that low-level resentment carries out in everyday life and behavior, take a look at what we were talking about earlier on Roger's panel with regards to the demon functions or the shadow functions of the mind. What happens when your needs are not being met? The end result is that you refer or defer to the shadow functions of your cognitive stack, and you begin to rely on less developed or more aggressive means or more negative means of getting those needs met, whether it be if you want attention, repressing yourself and becoming silent. That's a form of an expression of a shadow expression or a demon function. Or you can literally try to seize attention from everybody else with negative behavior or violence or misbehaving. This is a very common understanding in psychology. And when you've got a culture that encourages these things and provides a reward incentive for that, that becomes the default modality of socialization. And it has a higher likelihood of producing people with that temperament and rewarding personalities that demonstrate this, which is why if you want to entertain yourself with some of these things, the way the modern society has been molding itself, things such as Antisocial behavior with regards to sociopathy is becoming much more prominent and popular now. Psychopathy is becoming more of an indicator of success because of this environment. It's how people are being fostered to engage in that. That's a side note. We'll bring this back and I'm going to wrap it up here. When we talk about the way this plays out with what is called, what you've said before, BGS, Klingon behavior. If you're familiar with what people understand as love languages, now I'll remind you of what those 5 are. Acts of service, words of affirmation, gifts, quality time, and physical touch. If we understand that if you're in a situation where the culture has been rewarding people being involved in their shadow functions and expression demon function expressions of these things to get those needs met, you will receive and understand them and see them played out as instead they're inverse. So instead of acts of service, you get acts of disservice. Instead of words of affirmation, you get words of denial and condemnation. Instead of gifts, you get material seizure. Instead of quality time, you get denial of that time. And instead of physical touch, you either get physical harm or the denial of touch. These are all ways that those needs end up getting met one way or another. And they, in a way, become the new love language, contextualized by the cultural inertia that spawned them. Remember, the reason for these functions to exist is to prepare you for the environment that you're about to step into. And even though we're not about to walk out into a plantation, culturally speaking, we have recreated that over and over again. And so we are being cognitively primed to walk into that, which is what's meant when we say these things have followed us from slavery, because there's not been any sort of cultural interjection or interruption at a group level to prevent that from happening, which has left our predisposition as we see it now. This isn't an attack on anybody. It's a recognition of our factory settings, identifying where they originated from so we can take proper action to address and readdress them.
That's it.
So, BGS.
Real shit.
Are you still there?
Yeah, I'm here. Go ahead.
So people like Lucas and people that try to be like, oh, you can't get women or, nonsense like that. Is it because they identify getting black women with their male identity?
Well, Lucas is selling a script, okay, number one. Mm-hmm. Number two, that's a neoliberal way of doing things, right? Lift yourself up by your bootstraps. Everything's your fault. Everything is actually the individual, right? Mm-hmm. What Idris is trying to say is it actually it's an individual thing, not a group thing, which is false. That's what he's trying to sell. He's trying to sell the same thing Idris just said, earlier about same talking point. If you learn how to vet the woman, there's plenty of feminine, cooperative women out there. You just have to vet them right, or you have to be strong enough to actually bring it out of them. Okay, which is false. Okay.
Yeah. It's utter bullshit. Even Judge Joe Brown said it doesn't matter if you have 7 or 8 figures; they still act the same way.
Look at Will Smith. Can he buy that feminine cooperativeness from Jada Pinkett?
Hey man, look, I said this a long. And he's not the only one too.
Go ahead, Gigi.
Go ahead, Gigi.
I said this a long time ago, man. If Michael Jordan can't avoid it, he got to avoid it. Right? Tiger Williams couldn't avoid it. Emmitt Smith couldn't avoid it. Luther Campbell couldn't avoid it. I mean, there's just so many men. Tyrese Gibson, they got way more money.
Oh yeah, Tyrese.
Most of these guys, presenting themselves as these alphas online, on whatever social media sites that exist. It's like to me, I call it man drag. Okay, so you get to talk about how much of an alpha you are, how much of a real man you are, how much of a real stand-up guy you are, how masculine you are. I mean, man, come on, bro. Like we call that in the hood, man, somebody posturing and posing, acting tough. You know what I'm saying? You front. Yeah. Those type of guys are the guys that get clapped the quickest. Okay. And I'm just keeping it a buck, man. The quiet guys, the scary guys are the guys that's doing all the murdering out here. Okay.
Normally, yeah.
I mean, like the real quiet guys, the geeks and the nerds, the kids, them the ones that's out there really, and the ones that don't say much and keep to themselves, them the ones that's doing the murdering and the murking out there. And so I'm not All I'm saying is, man, I just don't trust guys that continuously, beat on their chest and try to demonstrate that, like, I'm a real man. To me, that's just an act. You're trying too hard. Okay. And look, I tried to say it, like a guy like Amazing Lucas is like, one of those man in the can type guys, like, like trying to present and put forth the image. Like, I'm so hardcore, I'm masculine. Look, man, anything can happen to anybody for any reason at any time, man. It's the law of chance. You can be lucky. Some of this you can bring on yourself if you tolerate injustice or you tolerate disrespect over a certain period of time. But come on, bro. So you mean to tell me, man, if you got a wife, it's your fault if that bitch step out on you. It ain't a moral flaw on her part. It's actually your fault because you chose a bitch that was going to cheat on you.
Yeah.
This is the kind of conversation that these people are having. Like, everything, is everything is a part of your character flaw, and nobody else has any agency and can do some shit that's twisted and fucked up. I don't subscribe to that. That just doesn't. It's not an accurate portrayal or a characterization of human behavior, man. And then it acts like you're supposed to be able to read the future. You're supposed to know everything about every individual, be able to read and determine what type of excellence they're going to display, what type of vices or viciousness they're going to display. People don't even know themselves. If you know anything about psychology, there's like in Johari's window, there's things that you know about yourself. There's things that are hidden from yourself that other people can see in you that you can't see about yourself. There's things that you don't even know about yourself that nobody knows and nobody ever will know because they're closed off. Okay. So, I mean, this idea that you can have access to somebody else's character and it's their fault. I mean, like it's your fault for them fucking over you. That's bullshit, man. Okay. Now, at the end of the day, I just tried to say, and I got people all hot and bothered, especially this Amazing Lucas guy, when I said that black culture is a concubine culture, bro.
Oh, he got mad at that.
He was super hot at that. And look, I'll just take you through the steps. Black people in America, ADOS people, FBA people, whatever you want to call them.
Yeah.
They were born in slavery, correct?
Yes, they were.
Yes.
And in slavery, did black men have any control over any of the basic institutions in the society in which we were?
Hell no.
We didn't have control over familial institutions, political institutions, or economic institutions. The only thing you control was working from C to can't see. That's all you can control. Okay. And I mean, of course there was rebellion and, insurrection and things of this nature, but come on, let's just be frank about this. We didn't run the society. Okay. So black women knew that black men were in a precarious position, as such were they. Now, any woman will understand that she's not going to be the brunt of the she's not going to take on the brunt of the violence because she's not the biggest threat. And they already know you're in a precarious position. So I'm saying that at times, do black women triangulate with white folks in order to keep Negroes in their place or black men in their place?
Call on the cops.
Hell yeah, they do that, man.
Call on the cops.
But we're supposed to pretend that it doesn't actually happen. Yeah. And if it does happen, we just chose women that put us in positions like that. What happens when I've seen mothers call the police on their sons, man. 13
happened to me.
14 years old, man. You gonna call the police on your son?
Because their son's out at 13, 14 years old.
Well, I've seen women call police on their kids, and the kids is 8. My mom threatened to call the police on me when I was 9, 10 years old. She worked for the juvenile system in the state of St. Louis. I mean, in the city of St. Louis.
There's only two ways out of this, honestly, if we're talking about mate selection. And one way is the way that got everybody riled up, which is choosing out of a different pot, right? The second way is choosing somebody who has been rejected by this same pot that we're all in here as FBA. So those are I hope niggas really realize that those are the only two options. And what this really means, it's a really extreme thing, but this is how contaminated shit is. You're either gonna have to go get a whole nother bowl and dip in a whole nother motherfucking pot for some whole different mix of soup altogether, right? And that's gonna have its own, you know, trials and tribulations, all that shit that come with it, but it won't be the same flavor as this shit.
Yeah.
Or you're gonna have to look at all the ingredients that wasn't added to this mix right here, all the shit that motherfuckers decided to leave out. So the girls who were rejected for whatever the fuck reason that was, she can't twerk, she's into some obscure shit that the masses aren't into, she's not mainstream. That's literally the only option if you don't want to deal with plantation politics.
But she's still infected with the disease, though. She still carries it. It can be
She,
activated anytime.
it's
But you
it's
have a better
dormant.
chance. You have
Yeah,
it's dormant, but you have a better chance at it, though. You're right about that.
But okay, so like take for example, Sandog. Sandog married an African woman, and he now lives in the UAE, the same place where the bus driver Bay got screamed and got her passport taken away from her to the point where she can't travel back to the US. Okay. Now I'm saying, even if you get sassy, like it's places that you can locate to and find, there are pockets and places that you can go to, right? Where you might be able to build a family and you might have some semblance of control. But in Western culture, we going over this, and I think BGS is going over this as well. The environment is such legally, even if it wasn't socially like this, just say, or historically like this, even just legally. If you marry a white chick, she can break bad on you and do the same shit. She can pull a Kim Kardashian on your ass.
And they're starting to do that now. And that's what white guys are complaining about. So they started to contaminate the whole culture. Well, it has contaminated the whole Western culture.
So now you got white boys trying to clean it up, and they're like, okay, well, we're going to try to get rid of no-fault divorce. Or they're going to try to do something like, okay, well, we're not going to give permanent alimony. Okay? But, I mean, it's like a little bit too late. You know, it's like
way too late.
Which is why they're trying to control Andrew Tate, because he's leading the rebellion. He's Agent Smith.
That house is already on fire.
But
going back to what Nameless said, though, honestly, the reason why you can get that same shit like Gigi's talking about with white girls is because when you read Dr. Joy Leary's, I think that's her name, but that book, that PTSS, that she talks about epigenetics. Epigenetics affects everyone, right? So that whole plantation dynamic, those memories for whoever was in contact with the plantation or whoever understands or is familiar with that dynamic, they will practice plantation politics just because simply it's in their genetic memory, like a reflex.
Yeah. Well, yeah. It's like what is it? It's like that. What do they call it? The Walking Dead. Okay. Everybody has it, but it's dormant. Okay.
Right. Exactly.
And let me just put it this way.
Go ahead, Gigi.
I just want to respond to this. The question posed or the statement posed by D. Right.
Okay.
I really, to be quite frank, I don't think that this is a male problem. But we want to characterize the problem as a male problem. Why? Because, I mean, typically that's what people do in this culture. They take all of the responsibility and they place it on the shoulders of men. And then they, act as if women are passive and they don't have any agency and they don't have, the ability to do things that are deleterious or destructive. Okay. It's purely the men that have this ability, but women just don't have, the agency to pull something like this off.
But it's Tremaine's fault.
Who is the people primarily divorcing others are women? Okay. The ones who are in control, the gatekeepers of chastity and reproduction are women. Okay. They are controlling this. Okay. Through their actions and through their choices. Okay. They do not have to do what they're doing unless you say they have no choice but to have children out of wedlock. And then after, post haste, then or upon reflection, now they consider it to be a bad idea. Do you really think it was a bad idea at all, or did you just do what you wanted to do and now you're just trying to clean it up? At the end of the day, Western society has made it such that men are not necessary in terms of family life, especially in the Black community. Yeah. And Maya Angelou broke it down perfectly. They did what they could to drive a wedge between us. Okay. Now the question is, Are black women doubling down on that? Or are they saying, look, let's try to find a way, like, you know, nobody really actually will believe that they would do this, but like, are they actually trying to come back to the table? I don't see black women coming back to the table.
They are coming back to the table out of desperation, but they're back. Okay, but they're coming back with the same kind of mentality, same kind of offers that they came away with. That's
Man, fuck that table.
Exactly.
There's a reason that the table's important, right? So the guys can actually hear the offer. Niggas want to hear the offer. They do. I see them run over there all the time. They actually want to hear the goddamn offer.
Niggas is cucks.
Well, then they have to be uncucked, right, Grinch? Got to be uncucked, right? How do you uncuck a nigga?
Wow.
That's the $1 million motherfucking question right there.
It's called fucking reality. A nigga will get uncucked when he actually sees his wife being fucked by a guy in his own bedroom.
Dave
right?
Chappelle,
get uncucked in a hurry. It's called reality.
Are you sure about that, BGS? Because Adam 22 sure as hell ain't coming to reality
He's a
yet.
porn star, nigga. He's a porn star.
He's still a cuck though.
No, he's not a cuck. He's a porn star. He's a pimp.
That was all.
Anyway, hi Scholar. You got PhD privilege, sir. What do you want to say?
What's going on, BGS? Thank you for having me up. I just want to add it on to what Gigi was speaking to. Really, speaking to how the contempt starts with the black boys. I work in education, and you guys have reviewed articles that talk about low expectations for educational outcomes. For our black boys.
I want to ask you that, High Scholar, because we read that shit all the time. We always get pushback. You're an expert at this. I consider you an expert. You may or may not be, right? But how accurate is that shit?
Oh, you're spot on with that, because I work from middle school up through college as far as teaching and facilitating, and even with the boys who excel, young men who excel, they will speak to, there wasn't an expectation for them to do as well. They were just excelling through their own fruition or through their own talents. Dads were oftentimes involved, or other men. There are a few mothers there who would, push academically, but by and large, if I reach out to, a family and there would be a situation, I'm going to get more responses from a father or males than I am going to get from mothers who would say, I don't know what to do. He's always been this way. He's always struggled with this. He just like his dad. These kind of armchair ways of talking about black boys. So
is this more common than not, or what do you think?
Absolutely. I mean, it's more common because of you guys are speaking of relationship dynamics, but that now trickles down to how she's going to treat this boy throughout the development of this boy, especially in his education, the educational expectations, the outcomes and explanation of those outcomes. And even as we've seen with homelessness, the homelessness starts with our juveniles. So some of these guys end up in juvenile delinquency, and they have no place to go back to because they now become JDs. So we end up with this kind of cyclical problem, especially after 16. 16 is that pivotal age in a lot of our states where you're no longer required to, attend public education or some type of education. So that becomes where that homelessness cycle begins, along with incarceration.
Okay.
Yeah, that's true, because if you listen to some of these women that have brothers, they talk about how the moms just cater to them, then push them as hard as they were pushed to go to school and stuff.
They neglected them.
Go ahead, High Scholar. I'm sorry.
Yeah, they were just saying they neglected them. So oftentimes you see like third grade slump that they talk about, a third grade testing issue, really is the time that black boys especially stop being cute. So when the earring and the outfit stop looking so nice, and they start going into true boyhood. I study development. So they start being really much more boyish than they were as toddlers and before, around that third grade time. So even, teachers and society start to see them different and start to see them as older boys, or even, as they get into elementary school and middle school, even older. So even their parent, especially if they're in the house with just a mother who may not have a positive relationship with black men in general, that child is going to be to the chagrin of that mother, like especially in education. Like I said, you guys have talked about in education, especially There's going to be no expectation for that black boy to excel unless that mother has experience with black men who excelled in that way.
All right, doctor. Say that again. What did you just say? Repeat that.
There's not going to be an expectation for black boys to excel in education unless that mother has an experience that she believes that black men can be, educationally intuitive and adept, and believe in black men. So that this show can really be talked about the contempt for black boys that then grows into manhood. And a lot of these men.
Now, do you see this in Asian culture and in Jewish culture?
Oh, when I teach in schools that are more mixed, especially when I teach at the college level, because the college level we are about 2% at the R1 institutions.
Okay.
I cannot neglect them, and even when they are struggling in my class, I'm going to be told to put my foot in them a little bit more rather than slack off. So oftentimes, when I've dealt with conversations with black mothers, it's like, well, what can we do to get him past? What can he do to get past your class? Versus, no, he needs to learn this. He has to sit here and grind through this. When are your office hours? Do you provide extra help? I'll get him a tutor. And I don't want to just, be overly stereotypical about it, because there are black mothers who believe in their black sons and then black men educationally. But even throughout your own trajectory, Gigi's talked about on his channel, your experience with black women as professors and those who may believe in you versus those who kind of like, put their foot down as like, you're not going to excel in this class because I have a contempt.
And it needs to be stated and understood. Ultimately, what we're saying here is you cannot choose your parents, nor do you necessarily choose your coworkers, nor do you necessarily choose your neighbors, especially when you are not an adult and you are influenced overwhelmingly from ages 0 to 7 out the gate on how you're going to contextualize it. And if you're a man, if you don't have any sort of, I'm going to use the term guidance or initiation into what your role is supposed to be in the culture, what are you going to default to? All of these problems we're talking about. This is where we get not only that low-level contempt that is presented to us at a baseline level, we continually get exposed to it through every institution we walk in front of. Overwhelmingly, it's almost always a woman that is going to have the ability to push the button on your future. Yes, you as an individual can drive and push forward, but there is a difference systematically when you've got an entire culture behind you that you can benefit from the cultural inertia of versus having to fight the inertia of a culture that has already predetermined you as property and given you a lane to walk towards. It's not the same thing. We succeed not because of, but in spite of.
Hey, BGS, I know we all talked about a lot of epigenetics and stuff. I've been wondering this, right? I see a lot of black men that have no idea about the black manosphere, nothing about passport bros, but they're moving like that. Do you think, because of all the contempt that we've been feeling, even those that don't consciously aware of it, but subconsciously aware of it, are moving on to other races of women?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Because they have choice now. That's the problem. What did the architects say in the Matrix, right? What is the key ingredient for freedom, right? Choice, right? Black men didn't have choice for like 250 years, right? Guess what they had the last 20 for the most part? Choice. Not over here, but overseas. Tan, who's actually been on the whatchamacallit on the panel, he married a Latina, right? It's choice. That's what's going on right now.
The reason why I say that, one of my best friends, like, for quote unquote, he will be considered select if I showed you a picture of him. He used to be a model and everything, right? So, to give you an idea what he looks like the guy Ghost from Power.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Now, he used to date black girls all the time. And then one day, he does know nothing about the manosphere. He do nothing about it. But one day, even before Kevin got big, he just stopped dating black women. He's just like, I can't do it no more. He only dates Spanish and white girls. And me and him go downtown. We live in Florida. He dresses very nice. Like I said, he has that ghost look. Just imagine Ghost. That's how he is, right?
Okay.
I see black girls come up to him. Oh, let me get your number. Let me get your number. Like, he'll pretend to get the number just so he doesn't argue, but he'll throw it away. And I'm talking about these are bad chicks, like Instagram models. He'll just like, no. You know what I'm saying? And I'm seeing more of that, especially the younger ages. So
Yep. I hear it all the time.
I've been thinking for a while, like maybe it's the black male epigenetics trying to gain freedom.
It's Partially that, I would say that, but what I really epigenetics probably keep you in the same loop, right? For most guys, that's the winter soldier chip that's in your brain, right? But the
Right.
thing is that it's actually choice because admixture is normal. You will
Mhm.
actually gravitate toward the best choice for you or get the best deal for yourself if you can, right? But thing what has prevented black men from actually admixing? It's called white supremacy,
Jim
racism,
Crow.
and Jim Crow, white culture, right? You could, if you got caught, sometimes even nowadays, you get caught with a white woman or other, you can get hurt, okay? But
Mm.
now black men have more freedom, more choice. That's what's happening, in
Especially
my
with
opinion.
Latinas, especially with that, because people always worry about the white woman. It's really the Latinas you worry about because they got the body type that black men generally gravitate towards.
And they're not considered white, so they're less
Exactly.
dangerous, right? So,
Exactly, because I even me, like, I generally do gravitate towards black women, but if I'm
mm,
going to date out, Hispanic would be the first one.
yeah,
Just generally have the body type that I like, and then
yeah.
and of course I don't have to worry about that fear of a white woman switching up on me. You know what I'm
Well,
saying?
well, when
Yeah,
you
well, because that's the problem. I always tell this to and you and Gigi and High Scott, you can jump in at any time. You don't have to wait on me. Um, I always tell black men, and even Donovan Sharp tells you that if you're going to date a white woman, right, there's a low level danger of you dating a white woman
Mm-hmm.
because she still maintains the power in that dynamic at any time. She can actually punch the red button and get you hemmed up.
Right. No,
So
that's
And
true.
that's
really, that's the story across the board in the English speaking first world in general that I notice.
okay. Expound on that.
So, what I mean is, when we talk about the power dynamic,
Mm-hmm.
when we see who can initiate what Dr. Tieson Johnson described as proxy violence,
Proxy violence. Yep.
women are the vector of that. And I classify that as soft power. And when I talk about the differences between hard and soft power, you start looking into how modern society in general, when we get into a roles sort of scenario, it is aggressively began to limit the options of hard power that men across the board have. And it is by far left soft power on the table. So because women in general in the West have more social influence and more social inertia to get things done because of the vestiges of patriarchy, benefit of the doubt overwhelmingly is left in the hands of women under a veneer or a rhetoric of them being in a less advantaged position to hard power. So what it ends up being is that soft power can be weaponized to get things done and create advantages that men simply wouldn't have, even in intercultural scenarios.
Mm-hmm.
However, it's a greater disparity when you're dealing with men classified as black because we're instantly placed because of this race conversation in the
Mm-hmm.
subordinate outgrew male position.
That's
So
true. And
we literally lose.
by all
We,
women.
yeah,
Really.
that's what I'm saying. We lose that suit to every single woman in the developed first world English speaking West.
So what Grinch was saying is probably more apt, right? You might have
Well,
to
it's why I
different
equated this
people.
situation to a nuclear weapon going off,
Yeah.
where the ground zero was in slavery, the nuclear fallout was during Reconstruction, and now we're dealing with the irradiated land mass that nobody has any instruments to detect. So nobody's wearing any suits or any sort of insulation against that. Only way to defend against that if you don't have protection is time and distance. It's our proximity to this culture. It's our proximity to that ground zero that's causing the problem. And ill preparedness for dealing with this cultural radiation that's still lingering. It's probably going to be here indefinitely at this point.
And some of that radiation that I think you speak to is really just not wanting black men to be self-determined. Because it would be limited to, like, we've always had the limitations of an outside force on who we could be, who we could define ourselves as. There was always, especially in the American context, been this outside force that said, no, you can't be self-determined. You have to fit within this kind of social structure. And brother Truth Be Told kind of spoke to motivation, and that's what I study. And this self-determination is something that you're required to be competent, get some autonomy, and feel related. And that's why we in this space feel the way we do. We feel self-determined to come to this space and express our views, and then we can go back into our lives and affect our lives in ways that we feel competent and autonomous and connected to other brothers. So really, the contempt is an undermining of our own self-determination. and what it means to be a self-determined black man or a black boy in America.
Another question for you, real quick, BGS. With the affirmative action thing, do you see that as white men trying to get white women in line? Because let's keep it real, white
Well,
women.
it's hard to say because the ruling didn't affect gender at all, did it?
Well, I'm just saying because white women
Everybody
benefit
got
from affirmative action more than any other
But,
group.
but they narrowed it down to race-based affirmative action. Will it affect gender? We don't know. We don't know. Race-based affects who? Black men. It doesn't affect white women. Okay.
Well, it should also affect black women.
But black women also what? Female, right? So they still have an avenue in. It's actually there to affect black men mostly. But thing is,
I do think they're trying to
go ahead.
I do think they're trying to clamp down because DeSantis passed that law with no permanent alimony, and white Republican women just went ballistic.
It went ballistic. That's the Phyllis Schlafly feminist trope, right? Phyllis Schlafly was not a conservative; she was actually a feminist, but she did not want feminists to actually get rid of the patriarchal privilege that they had. So what you're finding is they're not as feminist as they claim to be. Okay, they still want privilege. Yeah.
BGS, let me say something real quick
Go ahead.
to address a comment in the chat, and
Okay,
maybe this will help people in the playback.
Which comment is it?
It's Willier's question here.
Okay.
So here's an easy way to get epigenetics real quickly. Just because somebody gives you a dope verse, your DNA, doesn't mean the rapper that's gonna spit it can spit it right. And your culture is gonna be the instrumental you spit on top of it all. So even though you can have a dope verse, depending on how you spit it, you could ruin it. The way you spit the rapper is the epigenetics. The verse is your DNA. And the track you're spitting on top of is the environment you in.
Okay.
Dang.
You just put it in nigga language. Okay, I got you.
Yeah.
Feel that.
Can I jump in there? In motivation theory and self-determination theory specifically, it say all human beings are motivated, except for when environments or other impediments undermine their motivation. So that just goes along with what you're saying, Nameless.
I do got to bow out, though. I'm going to be listening in the back chat. But BGS, thanks for having me up.
Oh, no, anytime, man. Anytime.
You guys have a good afternoon.
All right.
You too.
Okay, anybody else? Reggie, you haven't spoke.
Yeah.
You want to get in? Go it once. Going twice.
So.
All right.
So,
anybody else want to get in before I kind of start going through closing thoughts? Got like 15 minutes.
Well, yeah.
I had enough. If somebody else has one, go ahead.
But yeah, just to talk about that the feminist thing about them not really wanting to lose their privilege. I mean,
right.
Miss Beth don't want to fuck up her Cadillac every 2 years, a brand new Cadillac, and she still likes that. She seen the men work, and she seen the ditches getting dug out, and her white ass ain't trying to see no part of it.
She always looked the other way when the master actually dug out some other race of woman. So that's not unusual for her. Yeah.
Oh man, look! As long as that necklace was shining,
yeah,
and as long as that Cadillac was clean, and as long as she can have them drinks with her friends at that exquisite, location, shit, she ain't give a fuck who he fuck.
They actually show. No. I might clip that from The Power because they actually show that dynamic in The Power where they had a black foster girl in a white household, and the white master was actually white foster father actually raping the girl while the wife was actually in the living room listening. So I might play that. Yeah, she acted it out. Yeah, so I might pull that up.
Now BGS. Don't talk about Hillary Clinton like that.
Hillary Clinton. You go back and look at the House of Cards. That's Hillary and Bill.
Nobody play that off like Hillary, man. Black woman with a smack Bill Clinton on live TV.
Hillary participated because she liked kitty cat, but that's a different story.
Oh, so that is okay. Okay,
Yeah.
I didn't know that was true or not.
Everybody knows that. Yeah, she likes kitty cat.
That's like a known secret.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
I don't know how secret it is, but yeah.
I mean, if you ever really look at her and watch her talk and watch how she moves, she moves like a dude a little bit.
Yes, that is what I heard about Hillary, but
So that's why she always had the pantsuits. Okay.
Yeah, the fucking
Was it
pantsuit.
Umadine, her girlfriend?
So what?
Umadine or whatever her name wasn't her girlfriend.
I don't know. I don't know exactly. There was
What's his
never any
name?
name.
What's his name's wife? That failed congressman.
I think she worked as her secretary. I think that was the one that was actually her mate.
Yeah, that's the rumor. And then Anthony Weiner, Anthony Weiner's wife. Loki, that was her lover.
Okay, that's an old Dick Gregory joke.
Yeah.
Hey, all you gotta do is get a girlfriend and call her secretary and take out taxes on her.
Well, can't make this stuff up.
And anything else before we start closing out?
I got one more.
Go ahead, jump in.
With the AI situation, do you think that change as far as making people cooperate and pair up is going to come a lot faster?
It's already doing it now because you can actually listen to the dating shows, right, and listen to the tone and the amounts that they actually demand. It's coming down. They're getting way more reasonable.
Because I don't know. Yeah, because I don't know if y'all see it, but I'm starting to see a lot of cars that's packed up with stuff.
Like yeah. Because the impact of COVID and the eviction pile up is actually starting to happen. So so repossession houses, evictions, all this stuff is actually starting to come about right now.
Oh, it's about to get real ugly next month because
it's gonna get ugly. So
it's gonna get real ugly next month because next month they start back those student loan payments.
Yeah, amongst other things.
I was so confident that they were going to get that off. But
the thing is I'll say this. I think that I think Biden's a banker, and I think the banks will get protected first. That's my opinion. Don't get upset at me, old man. All right. Just don't get upset with me. But I think that the banks will get protected at all costs in this environment. So, and that if that means people get put on the street, they get put on the street. Protect the balance sheet. But we'll see. He may do the right thing. Hopefully, he does.
So much for business, mate.
He might do the opposite just to prove you wrong.
I might have
not a bad thing in this case.
I might have to do a morning.
I'll fuck you in your ass.
Oh boy, here we go.
What the fuck?
What was that?
Oh, he's trolling. Okay, all right. I guess you go on the block list.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Who was that? The Idris guy doing that?
Yeah.
I thought that was your boy that stepped in the other day.
No.
At the end of the day, man, look, I've heard it often said that, you can become acclimated to dysfunction. And, black people have been through a lot. And, the little perks that black women get now predicated upon the DEI, all of those programs, the affirmative action programs, the double jeopardy policies that kind of let them hit more than one tally or tick off more than one box. We'll have to see how this plays out given, the new legislation, but I don't assume that anything will change in any substantive way. I think, white women just kind of like hijacked the civil rights movement and thrust themselves in the spot where black men belonged. And, I don't see black people, I put it this way, I don't see black women making a pathway for black men to get their just due out of all of what transpired. I'm personally saying I don't see it happening.
Yeah.
And so, because if it was the case that they were, inclined in that way, you wouldn't see such resistance in terms of like black men saying what they have issues and what they take umbrage with. You just wouldn't see it. Okay. And so what you have is this humongous pushback. And hey man, you just got to do what's best for you.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see them saying, you know what? If black men are enfranchised, and that means that we can start putting a closure on the wealth gap. I don't see them saying that. I don't see them saying, hey, we need to make sure that black men get these jobs, because black men, when they have money and resources, they share them with family members, including women, right? Whereas when women get money, they tend to believe that they should not share it with their male partners.
Yeah. Because guess what? The black male life is uncertain, so all resources go to black women.
You know,
And black men are appendages. Yeah. Go ahead.
I would like to add on to that. Like, I used to sometimes listen to what's her name, Cynthia G. Not because I agree or nothing, just to see the mentality and people around her.
My condolences.
People similar. They said this repeatedly.
Mm-hmm.
They were scared to see black men actually get proper things because they thought what they do to us, we would do back to them.
Mm-hmm.
That's why they don't want to teach the boys. They're secretly scared to teach the boys because they know that what is the trope? Oh, once he makes a lot of money, he's gonna leave you for a white girl.
Yeah.
You all know black mothers do not want their sons going anywhere.
Yeah. Oh yeah. They want control. Yeah. Just the same thing in Maya Angelou piece, right? When we started to walk out. She offered him money. She offered him whatever, right? And he still got him walked out. And then she said it was no good when he left. He wouldn't come back. So that's just what it is. It's actually insecurity on their part.
Yeah, because you have to tolerate it or be strong. And some men are so into that. Like, I hate to bring up other content creators. What's the name? Jason Black. I remember one time he had one of these sassy women in there, and I guess he going
You got
back.
your camera on, Diamond. Got your camera on, man.
He had one of these sassy women on there, and he got her to calm down, and he was like, "See that, fellas? That's how you do it." Like, and I'm looking, every other guy's looking like, we shouldn't have to go through that. That's the whole point, you know. You know what I'm saying? Like, we shouldn't have to like go back and forth. You know, that Cleon stuff that you talked about. He thinks it's good.
They don't want you to be free, man. They want you to stay where you are. They're trying to push you back into the same pattern, right? That's what they want. Yeah.
And any guy, one last thing. Any
I
guy,
ain't going.
Yeah.
Any guy talking that nonsense, oh, you're not man enough, ask him where's their wife is. Like Umar says that nonsense. Where's their wife? Jason Black talks about that. Where's your wife? You got all this skill. Where's your wife?
Yeah.
I mean, you don't want to have to drink 3 Red Bulls before you go home. You know, I like, you know, you really shouldn't have to do that. You shouldn't have to drink 3 Red Bulls, 2 Dr. Peppers, and take a couple of then take a multivitamin so you can be able to fucking fight the Klingon monster.
See the Bud Light, the Heineken, all of that.
Yeah, you know, you really shouldn't have to do that, but you know,
but you're socialized to do it, man. That's where you're raised to comply. You're raised to make mama happy, and manhood is actually based on how she sees it, not vice versa.
Yeah. I only hear that type of thinking from when describing the black relationships where manhood is measured by the women. And I guess measured on how well you can take care of her until you can't take care of her. God forbid you get sick, get hit by a fucking bus. You know, that's a lot of stress on your chest.
It is. Closing thoughts. We'll save high scholar to the end. Okay. Anybody?
Well, I'll go first.
Go ahead.
Yeah, well, it was cool being on. It was cool being on the panel. It's my first time being on the panel.
Oh, okay. All right. Sound like a vet, man.
Oh yeah, man. Look, like I said, I've been watching you since 2016.
Oh man, damn. So you remember Kevin and all that? So.
Oh yeah. Like I remember when y'all first started doing the 8-hour lives and being mesmerized by the fact that
it's 8 hours.
Yeah, I was like, man, they really stayed up. They like late night. There was late night sessions, man, with something.
Yeah.
But yeah, I remember Kevin before he was Kevin, and I remember he got brought in, him being the image character, and he soaked up the game he got from all of us and turned it into a fucking spirit bomb, and you know went straight to mainstream and exploded.
and it's
He had
global.
he had a hell of a. I mean, how long he did? He did like less than 2 years.
Yeah, like 2 years. Yeah, I think it's just about 2 years. Yeah, he was in there doing with the women. Yeah.
Yeah, man, he went out there and fucking exploded for like 2 years,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
and left an impact that where we still talk about him to this day.
Oh yeah, he's a saint now. You know,
Oh yeah.
he's a martyr for the manosphere now.
Oh yeah, but like I said, it was good talking to y'all, and I'm just I just hate seeing these cars with all these pillows in them.
It's gonna get worse, man. So, like I said, get used to it. I always said that when they come back to the table, you might not like the environment that they come back to the table in, but they will come back. So
Well,
just
I
get ready
like
for it.
They ain't
well,
got
I like to tell everybody one last thing. They got
Mm.
these cool tent jackets if y'all want to buy them.
Yeah, I can't take y'all nowhere, man. I really can't.
Hey, look, y'all gotta look them up. Google tent jackets.
Tent jacket. Yeah.
Like,
I can't take y'all nowhere, man.
yeah, that's all I got.
All right.
All right.
Who's next? Who's next?
I'll go. I hate to say this about my own community, but it's just the truth. The black community is a clusterfuck now, and there's not much we
Yes.
can do. And there's not much we can do about it.
And
Quote my
and it's
man
spreading.
Valdez. It's gonna take an act of God to get the black community together, and I
And
do
God,
mean that.
and God is sitting up there laughing right now. So I don't know if he's gonna act or not. He said, "Told you, Negroes," but is
Yeah,
what it is.
yeah. He gave us warning signs, and boy, writing really on the wall now.
It's not on the wall no more. Okay, it's in the streets. Okay, right, it's not on the wall anymore. It's actually active in the streets, and it's gonna get worse, man. I hope that the cooler heads and the people that know more can act and kind of stymie some of this, but I don't have
Yeah,
any faith in that right now. I really don't.
neither
So it's
do
gonna
I.
get worse. So if you
Neither
want
do
them,
I.
if you
I'm scared that they're going to start something because they're losing power.
oh shit, well yeah, that's a story for another day, man. That's
Yeah,
beyond
I'm out.
us. Yeah, that's beyond us. Okay, Morpheus, closing
Uh,
thought.
yeah, thanks for having me up here. It's been real enlightening. Yeah, I've been around in the clouds for a while, even way back when Kevin was nobody. You brought him in. I always tell people, Kevin's only here because BGS was bringing him in here.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? What's his name came in here. I saw that Lucas came in here trying to talk to you like you're a nobody. He has no idea that he's talking the main reason why Kevin even exists.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And and I talked about it just before COVID hit, and said, "Hey, man, they're coming to you." I told them, "Get ready." I said, I know you're ready." And I said, "I know you got the talent, man." So I said two things, man. I said two things, man. Ride this shit till the wheels fall off, and make them bitches pay. That's two things I told him. Make them pay you.
Yeah.
And then he did both. You know, he couldn't ride it till the wheels fell off because it's still rolling. But I'm proud of him. I was proud of him.
Yeah, he did a good job.
Yep.
Gotta
He,
be.
he pulled a miracle, man. I won't lie. It's a miracle. So it
Oh,
took a whole lot of things coming together, and it's an absolute miracle for this space to be where it is. So I never forget that every day. And you guys are part of it. So don't sleep on it. You guys, without you guys, it wouldn't be here.
Of course. And people think it's going to die somewhere. It's not going to die because the nonsense is still going.
Mm-hmm.
The only way it'll die if the nonsense stops.
And redress the grievances, like Craig Hughes used to tell me. That's the only way to stop a revolution. Redress
Yeah.
the grievances. And the women are not about to give up the power that they've gained. They're not without a fight.
I think it has to be like I remember Sister George told you specifically, black women wouldn't listen until we leave. Which
That's why she hates passport bros. Them niggas actually left.
Yes,
They're actually leaving.
They really thought we wouldn't leave.
They thought we wouldn't leave, and that's why she hates it. Y'all, for a bag of rice, you niggas left. We sure did. What's that tell you about you?
But there's a secret benefit that's going on that it makes it easier for black men to leave. I've been telling amongst my own circle, black women are too fat. They don't look like the way they did in the 90s and 80s. I think if black women were in shape, it'd be really hard for these Negroes to leave. They'll just sit there and tolerate it.
I think if they were less entitled and more nice, then black or more cooperative, black women will actually work with them. But the thing is, they've been taught not to be. And
Oh
what do you
yeah.
get out of them? So
Oh yeah,
what can
yeah.
you say?
And your teachings helped the black. 'Cause I see it in my own family, especially my mom. Oh my God, I had to keep my own daughter away because she tried to teach some of that to my daughter.
Trying to pass it down. Yeah.
You know, and we see with the whole situation with Kiki. You know, I'm looking at her mom. I can tell
Yeah.
she put that in her head.
Yep. I know the crowd that she's around, and I know what they tell her. There's a bunch of these Hollywood women, black women, that are entertainers that are feeding her head. So, and
Oh,
plus they got her on an agenda. She's actually working toward being more like oh shoot the thing like what's her name, Rihanna, that kind of concubine culture, as Gigi puts it.
mhm.
That's being sold all the way around the world. That's what makes the money. The Kim Kardashians, the Kardashians, set the template for making a whole bunch of money off of these kind of people.
Mhm.
They're
And they know,
trying to cash in. Go ahead.
yeah, I was saying, yeah, but they know they need a Negro there in order to power. Like, I mean,
That's interesting, isn't it? That you need a black man on your side to actually power that image. That's interesting. High school is going to have to do some research on that one.
well, I have an idea why. I've never.
Uh-huh.
So I'm in Orlando. I went to the school called Dr. Phillips. So
Okay.
it's predominantly white, but when I went there, they were bringing all the inner city kids to that school. It's like a magnet school.
Okay.
I come from a mixed background. I've noticed all these white kids, and they came from rich. They had Mercedes, all this stuff. And they were like, oh, you know, black people, you guys are so cool. You guys are so cool. Oh, teach me how to dance. Like, they will always talk about our influence. And mind you, I'm 36. So this is the early 2000s when I'm in high school.
Okay.
And they were going on and on. So even back then, they knew black people, especially black men, are very influenced. You know, this is another reason why, if you notice, they're pushing the gay agenda very hard on
Oh yeah,
black.
and have been so for quite a while. Yeah.
Because if we accept it, the world will accept it.
Yes, that's true. That's true. Yeah.
You know,
that's very true.
Because all the other black cultures will accept it. Jamaica, all of them, they will accept it if AOS accepts it.
Yeah, and black men are the image of masculinity, you know, sexual and whatnot. So yeah, even white men see that.
Right. I mean, you see the whole situation with Adam 22. You know, and personally, I believe that he likes that stuff. Because
he's a porn star, so yeah, you know. I think homeboy got talked out of turn. I think that's why he got canned. But yeah.
Oh yeah, well, I do think that's also a smokescreen for all those allegations too. So you ain't hear nothing about that ever since. But I do think he likes that because I mean, like I said, I'm here in Orlando. There's sex clubs here, and they really like that stuff, especially in Tampa. Like there's a documentary on Tampa about the cuckold thing, that they get these black guys and they pay them top dollar.
I heard if you're in shape and you got a package, yeah, you can make some money. Yeah.
Oh yeah, so it's very real. So whenever I see white dudes like this, it's true. And you know what was really interesting? I can't remember the podcast, but it's here on YouTube. Is a white lady. She has like a radio type thing, and she will have people call in, mostly white people, and they'll talk about their real freaky fetish. Now, one white guy called in. You can tell he's kind of old and hearing his voice, and he's a cuck. And he admitted, I always thought this was true. He said that most cucks are bisexual men. And then when I heard that, it makes sense. Like, yeah, if you're bisexual, you wouldn't care if your wife getting something.
You might share in it. So,
well, I think the fantasy is them wishing they were their white woman, if they were in their woman's place. I think that's the fantasy.
It could be, because if you look at Destiny, who's in
he's bisexual.
He's bisexual. Yeah, he's a cuck. Yeah.
Yeah. So when you see it from that perspective, you know, and like I don't know how much you like Frances Cress Welsing or not, but like,
love her. Yeah.
Oh, everything she said just came. When I first heard of it years ago, it's like it's kind of crazy. But now I'm seeing everything coming. I'm like, wow, this lady was really on to something.
Yeah, no, when I first read it, I said she's on. She knows what she's talking about, because I used to see it every day. So.
Oh yeah, you're over there in California, so you guys are ahead of us, right? You're ahead of all the nonsense. So from your vantage point from California, I don't know what's going on in there. Where do you see the future going?
More Latinos, more mixture, more admixture, and I've been saying this for quite a while. Eventually, the black community will cease to exist because that's going to be admixed. Next 2 generations. That's my belief. I hope I'm wrong.
Yeah, I can see that, especially if black women don't start acting right. But
I don't have any faith in them acting right. So I've kind of with the disease, I kind of gave up because these are actually the pivot point, right? The fourth generation, as far as civil rights, boomers, Xers, millennials, and Zs. They're number 4 in the midst of 7. Take 7 generations to actually have a cultural change, be admixed, so they're right in the middle. They actually chose to actually date out, so it's pretty much over.
Oh, speaking of that, my ex-girlfriend, and sometimes we still cool, whatever. She has a younger brother, which would be around the Z's. I think he's 19, and he tried talking to girls like he's a homo. He's a handsome guy, but he's more on the nerdy kind of side.
Reclusive.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I had to tell her, I was like, let's keep it real. I know you love your brother. I know he is handsome, but like black girls not going. It had to drag teeth for her to admit it's true, because she's super pro-black. She wants him with a black woman, but he's with a white. Of course, you know what I mean? And I was trying to tell him, like, it's not that, like, she's doing a lot. She's buying him stuff and all this good stuff. She is bringing him down a little bit because he ain't washing up and keeping his hygiene as good. Because, a black woman ain't going to let that happen. You know what I'm saying? He's not having his cut on point like he should. You know? But, I do see it. Most guys under 25 that I see are black. Yeah, they're not dating black girls unless they're a pookie. Only young guys I see under 25 that are black or pookies dating black women if they're under 25.
Yeah, the lower classes. Yeah, the lower classes still doing it. Yeah, but they will get infiltrated by the Latinas that are also at the same class level. That's what's happening in California. I see it all the time. With the pookies are dating Latinas at a lower class level. The upper class black dudes are dating white women. That's what I see, or white or Asian.
Oh yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Anyway, all right. High Scholar. Oh, no problem, man. Trying to jump off of you. High Scholar, you got the final word, sir.
Oh, I'm honored. Thank you again, BGS, for having me.
I'm glad you came up, man. You're gracious.
Yeah, I've been following for a couple of years, been in the chat for a couple of years, and just finally decided to come on up tonight because you've been calling me out. So
no, you didn't have to, man. You get PhD privilege, so you don't have to. I know.
Yeah, I mean, you also come on during prime time. I'm here in the South. I'm right outside Atlanta, so it's prime time for the little ones and the family time.
You're in the heart of the gynocracy, huh?
Yeah, well, you know it. Yeah, I got a story to tell you, maybe offline, but
okay.
I really want to reiterate what I said before, which is like I'm glad we do this work because the contempt that black boys are faced with, we as men kind of come to learn it and know it and call it by name. But for the boys, the fox is in the hen house. Like they are living in a house where oftentimes they can't detail or describe this feeling they're getting from the person that they came from, the person that's raising them. And it could be mom, grandmother, auntie, They don't know that's what's actually causing them to feel weathered, to feel stress as they're entering our middle schools and high schools. So continue to do this work. As boys and men find this, it becomes a relief initially, but even more so it becomes something that they can hold on to and fine tune themselves, fine tune their skills. It actually helps them excel and go much further. So don't think the work we're doing, as you said a number of times in the last couple of weeks, is for naught. Especially for our boys, because until things actually change, they need to know what they're dealing with, especially within our community aspect. We still have the remnants of Pan-Africanism and Black nationalism around. So you can fall into this idea that you're in a community that's full of love and kindness, and that's there. If you find that and seek that, but we know by and large, what they're going to get is going to be that contempt, especially in our schools, in our communities. Like, the guy said earlier, like, he's not even paying attention. It's like, well, we had a whole book about the invisible man on why you're not paying attention. Like, like Ralph Ellison talked about why you're not paying attention. Cornel West talked about why you're not paying attention. You're choosing not to psychologically to protect yourself. So our boys don't have that. We're doing the work now in these kind of conversations that they can access on YouTube very easily to help build that language for them and build their psychology around that. And I don't think we should take that lightly.
Yeah. I'm glad that people like you are actually in this space validating what we're saying. So kudos to you.
Thank you for having me.
All right, you guys. That is it. The PhD has the last word, so we're out. So see you guys tomorrow.